Hello, good evening. A couple had to escape from their narrowboat last night when a 4-ton tree crashed onto it during the storms. They managed to get off while the boat was listing and taking in water at Clifton upon Dunsmore near Rugby. Mark Goff reports.
The tree left a huge dent in the steel roof of the boat. 50 feet tall and weighing at least 4 tons, it snapped in last night's high winds, crashing down while Liz and Clive Humphreys were inside.
This is unbelievable. Force of Mother Nature.
Sorry. It was like a cross between a clap of thunder and metal on metal, even though it was a tree.
Yeah, it did sound, in all honesty, to me, it sounded like a boat had hit us really hard.
Liz took us inside, where last night she was settling down to sleep.
I was lying in bed, and this was over here, and the cat was at my feet because of the big bang, and it was like slow motion. This fell onto my legs, and the cat, I thought, stayed underneath, so naturally I panicked.
Luckily, Liz and Clive managed to get off their now ironically named boat while it was listing. Another boat owner who heard the crash dialed 999.
The fire brigade and everything were down within 5 minutes, and all I could see was tree and people and lights.
Well, and we were at a heck of an angle.
The boat was tilting that way, we were taking on water.
The main trunk was winched off by the wharf owner with a telescopic handler last night, and the rest of the tree was removed this morning. But it's caused a huge dent, and the whole roof will have to come off.
It looks like a giant is sitting down from the roof. It's dropped down at least 6 inches more, and it's still kinked all the way up here to the cupboard above the dinette.
We're lucky. We were okay, our cat's okay. The poor old boat's a bit bent.
Bent, but thankfully still afloat after its brush with nature.
Mark Goff with that report. Meanwhile, in Birmingham, a tree snapped in two, completely blocking the pathway leading to a primary school. It happened along Frampton Way, close to Meadowview JMI School in Great Barr. Police are reminding people to drive safely during the stormy weather due to high winds and debris on the roads. Well, the stormy weather could well continue over the weekend, so we'll have the full weather forecast for you later on in the bulletin. MPs, councillors and police forces from across the West Midlands have been meeting people from the travelling community today to talk about unauthorised encampments. Instances of illegal sites are down by about 20% since 2017. Today, longer-term solutions were being considered, like having specialist police liaison officers and official council transit sites.
We don't get medical attention, there's no places to stop. They're telling you that in 2-3 hours they can move on an encampment. If you imagine if you've got children, you've just settled down, got your caravan all unpacked and things like that. You've got the dinner on and you have to move. What about the children on that encampment?
We've seen some of the action that Sunwell Council has taken, for example, in putting in a transit camp, which actually is better for the travellers. And one of the things that's come out today is getting better coordination of the local authorities and having joint protocols so that they work together on the problem and not just working separately.
Police body camera footage has been used as evidence more than 1,000 times by West Mercia Police since they were introduced a year ago. One of the clips shows a woman resisting arrest and assaulting a police officer for being arrested for drink driving. The body cameras cost £1 million. Videos can be shared digitally with the Crown Prosecution Service to be used in court. Junctions 13 to 15 of the M6 will be closed in both directions for up to 24 hours from tomorrow evening. It's part of works to upgrade the road to a smart motorway. A bridge just north of Junction 14 also needs to be demolished. Monday will be an important day for thousands of people who lost relatives when they were given blood products contaminated with HIV. A long-awaited public inquiry into the scandal will begin next week. Most of those who died were haemophiliacs. They were given a clotting agent made from the plasma of thousands of donors. Some of those donors, though, had HIV, and the infection was passed on to the recipients. Callum Watkinson reports.
Jason Evans only has a few fleeting memories of his father, a haemophiliac, who was infected with HIV when Jason was 4. A clotting agent that was supposed to save his life, ending it when he was 31.
The government had this whole campaign, Don't Die of Ignorance, with tombstones falling down, and the whole message was that if you've got AIDS, you're ignorant, you're a drug user, you're an undesirable of some description. That was the perception, and my dad had to live through that. I certainly, I remember someone running up to me in primary school once saying, "Oh, that's the AIDS boy." I didn't even know what AIDS was at this point.
Jason, 4 days old at...
Jonathan Evans is one amongst thousands of patients given the blood product Factor 8, which was made by mixing plasma from thousands of donors. But this was the mid-80s, the early days of the HIV epidemic, and a single infected donor could contaminate an entire batch. For years, the government refused to hold a public inquiry, but in 2017 it agreed to, and ahead of the first day on Monday, it released a statement calling that inquiry a priority. It is extremely important, it said, that all those that have suffered so terribly can get the answers they have spent decades waiting for, and lessons can be learnt so that a tragedy of this scale can never happen again.
When I started campaigning in 2015, there was almost no hope of this day ever coming. It just seemed so far out there. We're campaigning on this case that has been denied over and over again for an inquiry. It seemed impossible. The fact that we got an inquiry announced was amazing in itself, but it is beginning. So we've got to be grateful, I suppose, that it is beginning.
As well as looking at the causes of the scandal, the inquiry will also examine repeated allegations from the relatives of the dead that successive governments covered up what had happened. Callum Watkinson, ITV News.
The Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, insists he is a Prime Minister in waiting and will fight for the right deal in Europe to protect jobs and businesses here in the Midlands. He's been talking to our political correspondent, Alison Mackenzie, ahead of the Labour Party conference in Liverpool.
Mr Corbyn, how can you reassure Midlands businesses and workers who, quite frankly, are worried about Brexit?
They're right to be worried because the government is not negotiating sensibly or clearly on this matter. We've put down our 6 tests by which we will measure the government's performance, and they include a relationship with Europe, which gives us tariff-free trade, and a customs union with Europe to ensure that there is no tariffs on it.
The Jaguar Land Rover boss has predicted a £1.2 billion loss in the event of a hard Brexit. Isn't it time to stop Brexit altogether, Mr Corbyn?
I think it's time to make sure we get an urgent agreement with the EU on what trade will happen after next March. It's not far away, and in which there will be a supply chain and in which will be an export market. Jaguar Land Rover have moved some of their production to Central Europe, but I'm very concerned about turning their big plant in the Midlands onto a 3-day week.
The Midlands sometimes feels forgotten. You have the prosperous southeast, the northern powerhouse. The Midlands feels it's being missed out in some way. Your thoughts?
I'm from the Midlands myself and I understand that feeling. Far too much of our infrastructure investment goes to London and the southeast. Far too little goes to the Midlands, northeast and northwest. And so our plan is regional transformation funds that will be locally controlled, and they will decide where the priorities of investment are. The appropriate railways, the appropriate road development, the appropriate infrastructure development.
On rail, particularly, the Midland Main Line was seeking electrification, many in support of that, and it's been stalled. But can you magic a response to that?
We are absolutely clear that we will invest in the electrification of the Midland Main Line and a crossrail for the north, because the Midland Main Line is obviously a crucial connector.
Finally, many people in the Midlands say to me, he's a nice man, but he's not a leader, he's not a Prime Minister. That's a worry to you.
Well, I thank them for their comments. My job is to lead our party. My job is to lead our party in a direction that will bring about a fairer, more just society that won't walk by on the other side for those that are homeless or those that need social care. A party and a government that invests in the needs of all of our people, not the few.
Thank you for talking to ITV Central.
Thank you.
Some sport now, and Aston Villa are looking to make it 2 wins in 5 days when they play Sheffield Wednesday tomorrow after beating Rotherham earlier this week. Manager Steve Bruce had been under increasing pressure after 5 league matches without a win, but his side's 2-0 victory on Tuesday has given fans a lift ahead of tomorrow's match at Villa Park.
The most important thing now, it's gone. We've got a win under our belt. We go tomorrow, arguably could be the biggest crowd of the season. So a result will take us into the top 6. So, 9 games in, we're where we want to be. We're 3 points better off than we were this time last year. So let's start feeling a bit good for ourselves if we can win tomorrow rather than the negativity.
Let's see what the weather has in store for us over the weekend. Here's Amanda Houston with the details.
Hello and a very good evening to you. So the weather story for this weekend is an unsettled one, although certainly for the next 12 hours or so it will be quiet across the region, but low pressure waiting out of the wings here is going to come our way throughout Saturday and into Sunday. Now there is a bit of uncertainty about this, but it looks like it will be bringing some heavy rain and some strong gusty winds as we move into Sunday. Although the good news is behind it, high pressure builds back in, which means from Monday onwards we're expecting largely fine conditions. Now coming back to the rest of tonight, might still be the odd shower in places, but for most of us a largely dry picture. We've got clear skies, those temperatures well into single figures, which means for tomorrow morning it's going to be a chilly start to the day, but there will at least be a good amount of sunshine to begin with. However, don't get too used to it. It will start to cloud over from the west, and eventually that system I showed before will start to work its way across the region. Now there is a bit of uncertainty about how much rain we'll see during daylight hours, but it looks like many of us will be seeing some rain at some point throughout Saturday. Those winds are going to strengthen towards tomorrow evening, and of course it's feeling chilly out there. We're only looking at highs generally between 11 and 13 degrees. And as we move into Sunday, it's a similar setup. So for many of us, it's looking like it will be a wet and windy start to the day, but hopefully it will start to improve towards the end of the afternoon. And then on Monday, for most of us, it will be dry and rather bright out there too. Bye-bye.
Well, that's all we have time for tonight. We'll be back at 10 to 6 tomorrow evening. For now, though, have a lovely weekend. Good night.